Hello. How you doing? You good? Yeah, having fun? Good. I don't really know how to start these things anymore. Good pandemic? It was alright, wasn't it? I didn't mind it, I'll be honest. I thought it had some perks. I thought the football was better without the fans. So did the players, by the way. The players kept saying it's not the same about the fans here. Can I just clarify? What they meant was it's much better. There is no way your job is not improved by the removal of thousands of people calling you a wanker. Believe me. I think other countries did suffer about the fans, to be fair, like in America. Americans have got brilliant sports fans. If you've ever been, I was lucky enough to go just before the pandemic. I went to New York to watch the baseball. Now, I assumed, wrongly, I was going to be surrounded by like, the American equivalent of hooligans, right? Couldn't have been more wrong. Up until the point I went to find my seat, right? I could see the guy I was going to be sat next to. He was sat there, he was covered in tattoos. He had a tattoo on his neck here that said, trust no one, which I assume he did himself. It's a thinker, but it's worth it. You just have to do some of the work yourselves. It's just something about neck tattoos that sort of don't scream sense of humour. Do you know what I mean? And I've got evidence to back that up. There's a guy who works at my local pub, and he's got a neck tattoo of trees coming up here, like a massive sort of forest around his throat. And he didn't even laugh when I said, "Is that your neck of the woods?" Anyway. I digress, right? This guy, he was lovely. He was so... I did feel bad because I sort of judged him based on how he looks, which you shouldn't do. So you shouldn't base, or sort of judge somebody based on their looks. Really. I mean, sometimes you can, but you shouldn't. Like, you know, for example, like if you see a man over 45 with a ponytail, you know he's either a magician or he does karate. But you know one thing for sure, he's definitely divorced. Like, but you shouldn't, but you can. However, I was wrong. He was so nice. He was telling me all about the baseball, about how it worked. He was asking me questions about the soccer. Like at one point he asked which team I support, and I said, "Oh, I support a team called Tottenham." And he goes, "Oh, is that the hot spots?" I went, "Yeah, if you want, mate, yeah. The Tottenham Hotspots. Yeah. We don't win a lot, but they have the best free Wi-Fi. So every cloud..." It's just such a different atmosphere. At one point, Kiss Cam came on, which I'm sure you've seen, like, when the camera's going all around the stadium, all these couples are kissing, everyone's loving it. And after it finished, he turned to me and said, "So, do they do that back at home for the soccer?" Can you imagine that at Millwall? I said, "No," I said, "we don't have anything like that." Yeah, I had to explain to him how our fans aren't even allowed to sit next to each other. I was like, "We have to be separated by police." Obviously, they can't do that there because their police are worse than our fans. I said, "But we have to, like, be separated." And he didn't believe me. I had to tell him this story. It's a friend of mine. He's a Tottenham fan. He went with his friend, who's also a Tottenham fan, to watch Tottenham v West Ham at West Ham. But they could only get tickets in the West Ham end. So they both made a promise to themselves that if Tottenham score, don't celebrate. Tottenham scored. His friend celebrated. Everyone around there just started beating him up. I said to my friend, "Oh my God, that's awful." I said, "What did you do?" He went, "I did all I could do. I just sort of joined in." Like, there is nothing like that there. In fact, there's so little violence in like the stands. They actually have this text-based system, right? If a fan is misbehaving, you just text in their seat number, and a steward comes and takes them away. Can you imagine that at the football in England? The stage would be half empty, and not even because anybody done anything wrong, just for a laugh. I'll be doing it sat at home on my sofa, just texting in random numbers. But like battleships, just being like, "Oh, got one." Such a different atmosphere as well. And the game, it goes on for hours, and you get all the food you want. The best thing I saw, actually, this guy, he'd got all this food. Like, he was walking back to his seat, and he had a box of popcorn under this arm. He had a hot dog in this hand. He had a bottle of beer in this hand and a packet of crisps in his mouth. And he was walking back to his seat. He dropped the crisps on the floor. And he wasn't sure what to do because he didn't have enough hands. So he got the beer bottle and he put it in between his jeans and his stomach. And he went to bend over to pick up the crisps. And the beer just went all over the floor. And he just went, "Oh no, not again." Like, how has that happened twice? He didn't see the funny side. It's the interesting thing in this job, when you get to travel, you get to experience different countries, different sense of humours. Like, Americans don't have one. Or they do, they just don't get ours, it turns out. I found out when I went to Nevada. Did a tour of the Hoover Dam, and the tour guide was showing us all around the dam, telling us all these facts about the dam, and I went, "Wow, it's crazy to think that a beaver built all that." Nothing. Again, you have to do some of the work yourself. But how long we got? Oh, not long. I'll professional. Didn't mind it. Yeah, I didn't mind it. I didn't mind the lockdown. I liked stuff going online. I thought that was good. I had to do a speed awareness course on Zoom. Sometimes this stuff just writes itself. What happened was, I'll give you the context, is I had my car stolen during the first lockdown. What happened, I was out for one of my walks and I came back and someone had broken in. They'd stolen my car key, taken my car. I had to call the police, obviously. The police officer, nice man, see if you can spot the point I slightly went off him. So I called up, I said, I need to report a burglary. He said, I'm sorry, what's happened? I said, someone stole my car. He said, I'm sorry, I'll take a description, what's the make and the model? I said, it's a Vauxhall Corsa. He went, oh. I went, oh, what? He went, sorry, it's the people usually steal nice cars. I went, all right, I said, that's my car you're talking about. And he went, not anymore, it's not. Like, I called the right number. I got, they found it, I should say. They found my car a couple of months later. Got a call from Surrey Police, different police officer, called me up. She said, good news, we found your car. I said, great, I said, can I have it back? She went, no. She said, it's not in a good way. She said, in the car, we found a balaclava, a crowbar, and a machete. And I went, oh, I've been looking for those. The police, it turns out, do not have a sense of humour. Actually found out the hard way. What happened was I went to buy my car, buy a new car, got myself a Ford Focus. I was driving it home. Police officer pulled me over. He said, do you know what speed you were doing? I said, yeah, the stuff my mate Steve sold me. Nothing. No, he did. He pulled me over. He said, do you know what speed you were doing? I said, yes, 32. But apparently that's dangerous on a motorway. In reverse, I don't know. No, I had to do the speed awareness course on Zoom. That's how I landed there. Have you ever done one? Not as fun as I thought it was going to be. They go around, if you did it when you were there, they asked you what speed you were doing. And he went around, asked everyone on the screen what speed they were doing. He got to me, he said, what speed were you doing? I said, 32. He said, you know what? I said, just a Ford Focus. Nothing. Well, I was going to say, I wish you'd been there, but I'm glad you weren't. It's, they just put me on mute. But I didn't mind it. I didn't have any job to fall back on or anything. Some comedians had to retrain. I couldn't do that. Like, I've only had one job, and that was working at Legoland. Should say, well, thank you very much. Should say I'm originally from Slough. Basically, if you're from Slough, you go to Legoland when you're 16 for one of two reasons, either to work or to take your kids. And I left mine at home, off I went. No, no, I don't have children. Don't want children either. Don't want children. Some people are quite shocked to hear that, especially my daughter. No, little joke to keep things moving. No, I don't have children. Don't want to. Whenever I tell people I don't want to have children, they always say the same thing. They always say, have you ever thought about adoption? Would you ever think about adopting? Which I hadn't until recently. And so many people said it to me, I decided to look into it. And generally, I will say this. I genuinely think adoption is an incredible thing to do. I think adopting is brilliant. And I will say, genuinely, if I did ever decide to have children, I'd happily put them up for that. Sounds great. See you later. Best of luck. See you when you're 18. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm glad you clapped. I didn't quite know how to let you know it was over. But some comedians sort of like to build to a crescendo. I just sort of like to start big and then just sort of slightly downhill to this. I think it's nice. It's good. Sort of a sort of, because otherwise you sort of leave here and you're like, oh, suddenly my friends aren't sort of as funny as the people we paid to watch. But now you can go, oh, no, it was sort of as funny as sort of he was at the end. You just sort of stop like that. It's nice. No, I think we can go flatter. I think we can. Still a little bit over there. Now I want to sort of. No, see, you're laughing. I want like. No, it's not working, is it? We'd like. That's good. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, so I'd like to work on my endings. So I didn't mean to go that flat. I did mean like a level above. It's fine. I will say this. I'll leave you on this. I will say what happened was during lockdown, as I got a new girlfriend. So we met. Thank you. We met sort of in between the lockdowns, sort of like treating it like a sort of transfer window. Got someone in just before the second lockdown. And I will say this. My advice is if you start a new relationship, give each other nicknames early on. Little tip. That's mine. And then leave you on that. I've been Jake Lambert. Thank you very much. Thank you.